Hey YouTube, and welcome to Love for Crypto. Today we are announcing our new Ripple XRP weekly playlist. Basically every Sunday we'll be adding a new video bringing you all the latest up-to-date news and progression of Ripple throughout each week. So if you're invested in Ripple and XRP or would just like to keep up to date with exactly how Ripple are moving forwards in the future, then this channel will be perfect for you. So remember to hit the subscribe button below and turn on post notifications. So let's jump straight into it then with this article on Santander. I'll quickly read it out for you. Banco Santander have set a Q1 2018 launch date for the introduction of same-day mobile international payments for personal customers using Ripple's distributed ledger technology. Santander has been piloting the technology for 18 months with bank staffers. The app has been tested with Apple Pay for payments of between £10,000 to £10,000 using Touch ID for secure sign-in. Plans for the live rollout were revealed in the bank's 2017 earnings presentation under a slide headed Same-Day Mobile International Payments in 3 clicks and 40 seconds using distributed ledger technology. Santander plans to introduce the service in 4 countries simultaneously and promises full transparency on fees and forex upfront. We expect to be one of the first global banks to roll out distributed ledger technology-based payments for individuals, the bank told analysts. In November, the UK arm of the bank also announced plans to work with American Express to use Ripple's tech for blockchain-enabled cross-border business-to-business payments. Now, inside this article there are some key points to talk about. American Express use Ripple's tech for blockchain-enabled cross-border business-to-business payments. Now, if we take a look over here, this is very similar to what Visa have recently announced in regards to their Visa B2B Connect. If you connect the dots and recall back when Brad Garlinghouse claimed to be working with 3 of the 5 world leading payment companies, then the possibility Visa are working in conjunction with Ripple on this project is very plausible, and a partnership with Visa and Ripple could well be announced in the coming year. But please remember, this isn't a solid fact, merely my own personal speculation. Now, it states here that the app is being tested with Apple Pay for payments between £10,000 to £10,000. The thought of Apple Pay being used as an instrument alongside Ripple to power the payment process within the app again is another step in the right direction for Ripple. It shows that more and more major names within the payment sector are open to working with Ripple and its state-of-the-art technology. Just to prevent any misconception, Santander will be using Xcurrent to power this app. Although this may seem to be negative news to some people, you have to look at the bigger picture. So that being said, Santander, 18th largest banking institution in the world, worth 1.4 trillion in total assets. They piloted Ripple for 18 months. They're now going live commercially in Q1 this year, rolling out a product for customers, basically powered on the blockchain. It's offering a product to customers which reduces total cost of the transactions by around 30%. It takes 40 seconds rather than 4 to 5 business days, and it offers full transparency on fees and forex upfront before executing the transaction. So, you know, all the other banks and payment providers globally will be keeping an extremely close eye on this. This is basically giving Santander cutting-edge technology which could inevitably create a stir amongst customers who use other banks, simply because Santander offer an easy, cost-effective, frictionless transaction which other banks simply can't do. Which obviously then takes us back to the bigger picture. Banks around the world have a direct threat in the cross-border payment sector now. Banks will inevitably come knocking at Ripple's door because they're going to need to keep in direct competition with their competitors and implement a similar system which can offer the same speeds and savings, which can compete at the same scale of Ripple's interledger technology. I think for Ripple, this in turn is building the essential trust and partnerships to validate Ripple as a genuine powerhouse within the remittance sector. Now, let's go and take a look over here in respect to Ripple's new partnership. I'll quickly read this out to you. Chinese payment provider LianLian International is joining RippleNet, the payment network that uses Ripple's blockchain technology to facilitate cross-border transactions. Announced on February 7th, the news will see the Hong Kong-based LianLian International adopting Ripple's Xcurrent solution in an effort to bring same-day cross-border transactions onto a blockchain for its existing customers. The product differs from Ripple's XRapid solution, which, unlike Xcurrent, uses the company's custom cryptocurrency XRP. With RippleNet, we will further enhance that experience by offering customers instant blockchain-powered payments across the 90 currencies that we currently support. According to Ripple, the partnership with LianLian will enable existing RippleNet members to connect with the Chinese market. With the news, LianLian becomes the latest member of RippleNet, which, according to a previous CoinDesk report, now has over 100 customers using its Xcurrent solution. Now, as I previously mentioned earlier on, this is another perfect example of how global leaders within the payment sector are forging partnerships with Ripple in order for them to use their technology, which in my own personal opinion is the beginning of a new revolution. I think throughout this year we will see a surge of new partnerships as other payment providers and banks gain more trust in Ripple's brand, and as more test pilots end successfully, which then roll out into a live working production, more payment providers and banks around the world will feel the comfort in knowing that the technology is safe, secure, cost effective, which in turn again will bolster Ripple's reputation. So we'll jump on to the next bit that we're going to cover today. Wednesday, Brad Garlinghouse was a speaker at the Yahoo Finance All Market Summit. The video will be posted in the description below if you would like to watch the full 30-minute Q&A. But today we're just going to be talking about a few of the key points that I made. So this is the first clip which we're going to look at today. So I'll put this on now.
Clearly, there's a lot of misunderstanding about digital assets, and I think some of it's been clarified in the panels today. But what is interesting, and a quick anecdote, even before Andy and I had met, I was a CEO of a voice over IP company. I was a telco guy way, way, way back when, pre-Yahoo. And actually, I came into Yahoo. Yahoo bought a company called Dialpad. I sat down with the CEO, at the time he was a very senior guy at SBC Communications. His name's Randall Stevenson.
I've heard of him.
He's now the CEO of AT&T. Randall Stevenson said to me in 2000, AT&T, well, at the time SBC, will never use IP for voice traffic. Now his point was, look, we have a robust analog switch network that works for voice brilliantly. We'll invest in data, we'll invest in IP data, we'll have a separate network for that, and that's how it evolved. Well, today, there is no voice network at AT&T, it's all IP. I think the exact same thing is going to happen in the banking world. I talk to senior banks, people who are close to the company Ripple, and they're invested in us, and they're like, hey, look, we love what you're doing around XCurrent. Not sure yet about XRapid. That's fine. It's Randall Stevenson. Like, I'm having an echo chamber. The XRapid product gives you a faster product at a lower price. Do we really not think that people are going to say, huh, that's kind of interesting? So over time, I view this absolutely as a crawl, walk, run. We're now working with over 100 banks around XCurrent. We've announced 4 customers using XRapid. Those are MoneyGram, Mercury FX, IDT, and Qualix, all payment providers, and they're using our first testing transactions, but live transactions, moving many transactions going into Mexico. And I think it's just the beginning.
So what Brad is trying to emphasize here is the fact that although currently banks are using XCurrent, does not mean to say they will not use XRapid in the future. As Brad mentioned, a senior figure for this SBC Communications said they would never use IP for voice traffic, basically because the current system implemented is working fine and there's no need for change. Now, today that same company is no longer using the outdated analog method and is fully implemented with IP. Brad goes on to say that he believes the same thing is going to happen in the banks, and as he quoted in the video, a crawl, walk, run scenario will more than likely happen. Again, it's all about building that initial trust within the banking system, proving the technology works, it's secure, more importantly, a lot more efficient than the current Nostra Vostra system, aka SWIFT. Now, in respect to Ripple's XRapid platform, Brad talks about the 4 key XRP partnerships that are being piloted currently, which is MoneyGram, IDT Corporation, Mercury FX, and Qualix. Basically, if Ripple can continue this trend and grow the list of its partners actively using XRP, then the current dynamic situation that has happened in the markets, in the try to attempt exactly how much XRP's value will be, will just completely change. So we'll just move over to the second clip now that we're going to show you today.
To be very clear, Ripple owns 61.x% of all XRP.
That's what I was going to ask you about.
I want a very successful XRP ecosystem. The way I measure the success of that ecosystem is around volume, velocity. The success of any asset is going to be dictated by its usage, by its demand. My point was simply, I think my point earlier was, I don't think about this, and I try not to check the price of XRP, multiple times a day. Sure, I probably check it once a day, but look, it's going to go up, it's going to go down. What I care about is if we are delivering for our customers, there's going to be increasing opportunities to use things like XRapid to solve a multi-trillion-dollar liquidity problem. That's an exciting thing to go out and solve. And frankly, for the employees at Ripple, I think there's a mission-driven We want to put our dent in the universe and really enable an internet of value, to truly let value move the way information moves today. And that is possible, and it has a lot of effects that I think are hard to predict. In the same way, the internet of information in 1997, could we have predicted I could walk outside and get a car on demand or anything on demand, whatever it is?
Do you think that XRP right now is behaving based on Ripple, the business? Like, hypothetically, it should rise or fall based on as Ripple signs more banking partners.
Well,
but of course, there's a market completely separate of everything.
There's a lot of speculation. I think that, as we've talked already, there's a lot of correct information. There's a lot of misinformation. I just, I try not to think about the price of XRP. I certainly don't comment on the price of XRP. I will again point out, Ripple, the company, as an owner of 61% of the tokens today, is the most interested party in the success of the XRP ecosystem. And we will do things to invest in the success of the XRP ecosystem because that's in our best interest.
So this for me is probably the most important part of this Q&A. There's a lot of FUD surrounding Ripple currently in respect that, people are dubbing it as a scam or a Ponzi scheme due to the fact a large percentage of Ripple customers are using X-Current and not X-Rapid. Just as an example, I've seen in a Reddit post that Ripple is simply leading on investors with the whole X-Rapid products in order to finance their X-Current platform. I personally have never believed this. I've done a lot of endless research into Ripple and XRP, but for the investors who just jumped into the market without doing the correct research, will clearly see this as FUD, will sell. And, we've seen many scenarios like this in respects with Ripple and FUD. I mean, the main reason I highlight this is because, Brad explains Ripple, the company, have a 61% share of XRP currently. It is in their own interest to make XRP as successful as possible. For those who follow Ripple will know this is locked in a smart contract, releasing 1 billion XRP each month, with any unused XRP going to the back of the pile, obviously thus preventing any sell-off by the company, which obviously could crash the XRP token. Again, another great example of how Ripple are trying to express trust amongst investors by acting professionally and basically doing what is needed to crush that FUD. I genuinely believe when this digital asset class as a whole receives the correct regulations in order to protect the consumer, retail and institutional investors, then we're going to truly witness a surge of investors flooding the markets. We're currently and absolutely underbought asset at the moment, and it is the future. It really is the future. So finally, we'll move on to the technical analysis. We'll be using the 4-hourly chart for this. As you can see, the downward white line indicates the resistance from the major correction we have been having since the start of January. For me personally, I see this as a healthy correction and what was needed in order for the markets to reach and surpass those all-time highs again. The upward white line indicates the trend reversal and is acting as a support. I believe the bear market has been exhausted now and we have genuinely bottomed out. We should start seeing the bulls return back into the markets. So what we've done is mark the 7-day period we will be forecasting, which is indicated with the 2 green vertical lines. The time frame for those are the 12th of February to the 19th of February midnight. We have set a target price to reach at the end of that period with the price range between the $1.10 to $1.40, which is indicated with the 2 green vertical lines. So the reason why we have come to this conclusion, if we move over onto this other slide showing the moving averages, just before we begin, the blue moving average is the 10-day close, the yellow is a 20-day close, and the red is a 50-day close. So at the peak price of Ripple, we can clearly see the blue and yellow moving averages were much higher than the red. When we see the blue moving average cross over the yellow, this would usually signal a short-term downtrend. But then as we both see the blue and yellow cross the red, this was a major sell signal for investors, and this is when the correction first started off. So as the price of Ripple was dropping, you can now see the red moving averages on top, then yellow, then blue. Basically, this is confirming the downtrend, and from an investment point of view, this is exactly the kind of market you want to stay clear of unless you're going to short it. So if we look towards the bottom of this chart, we can see a knot developing. Basically, a knot is when all the moving averages are compressed tightly together. This will usually indicate the market is about to have a reaction, whether that's an uptrend or a downtrend. For Ripple, this has signaled a positive reaction, and we can now see the markets forming higher highs and higher lows. And as you can see, the red moving average is now again at the bottom, signaling a positive move in the right direction for Ripple. If Ripple can hold up to this support trend, then the likeliness of hitting our target is well on the cards. So moving over to the relative strength, we can judge from this that on the 4-hour chart, Ripple still has some headway to go until it pierces that 70 RSI point, which could trigger a short-term sell-off. We can see a nice uptrend developing here, showing Ripple has good momentum behind this run, which again supports our end-of-week price projection. So finally moving over to the MACD, again this is another instrument that is showing bullish signals for Ripple. We have a lot more volume of buyers in the market, although this has started to deplete and the 2 moving averages are compressing. I believe we'll see another bull run which will take us towards the end of our weekly projection. So that brings us to the end of our first weekly episode of Ripple XRP news and price prediction. I hope you have enjoyed this and it has been informative for you. If you would like to keep up to date with the progression of this series, then again remember to subscribe to this channel, turn on post notifications, and we'll see you next week.